Hi my friends, I am currently in an abandoned conservation area near a beautiful river in Ashby, Massachusetts. And this is a spot that I usually come foraging for cranberries. And although it is April, mid-April, there are tons left because they usually overwinter pretty well. So I'll begin picking in usually October, November, and then all the way until usually May they'll stick around. So we'll take a look at what the plant looks like. We'll talk about where to find them and how I prepare them and use them, but I mean everybody knows how to use cranberries, so let's take a look. So where do cranberries grow? Despite the myth that they only grow in soaking wet places, they do grow in moist ground, but I've even seen them grow in very sandy, alkaline, and not so moist areas. The area that I picked them is an old abandoned sand pit in a conservation area. And they grow in such large amounts that you could literally pick for the entire day and not exhaust them. And even though it's later in the year right now, there's still a ton available. So let's take a look at the plant up close. So when looking for cranberries, we're looking for a creeping evergreen shrub. It's like almost like a little vine that grows along the ground. And all plants in the Vaccinium family tend to be very, very low growing. So they'll just kind of sprawl out like a mat across the ground. And in the fall, before heavy frosts, they're typically a dark green color. But after overwintering, many of these cranberry plants have an orange or purple tinge to them. And these are pretty readily identified. They have almost a whorl. They have alternate leaves, but the leaves alternate going up the stem. I'll get a close-up for you of that. So as they're going up, they're on one side, halfway around, halfway around, halfway around. And once you find an area like this, you will have a lifetime supply of cranberries. Nobody picks them, very few animals eat them, and they're pretty fun to bring people with you and introduce them to foraging through these plants, because they're not too different from their domestic counterparts. They're one of the few domestic plants that are grown commercially that haven't changed all that much. So the taste is pretty much exactly like what you'd buy in the store. Once you do find what you think are cranberries, and you're in a moist area, or an area that does get some moisture at some point in the year, you want to look underneath the top layer. Kind of push them aside and see if you can find any red berries. And right here is a cranberry. And at this time of year, the cranberries are very soft, so they make cranberry sauce very easily. They can be turned into juices, they can be freeze-dried, they could just be dried, and they pick very easily. In the fall, depending on how early you pick them, they could be a little more tough, and the skins might be a little thicker, but these are edible even just raw. And I like to eat these by the handful. I like to make juice out of them, and of course cranberry sauce is an excellent thing to make from them. Another thing to note, when you're picking cranberries, I'd recommend either a plastic bag or a rigid bag, so that when you're picking them, they're not getting squished, because they have a tendency to get weighted down if there's too many piled on top. And that can be easily solved by kind of a flexible, malleable bag or a thinner layer in a hard bag. This is the delicious outcome of 2 seconds of picking. So why bother picking wild cranberries when you can go to the store and for $2 or $3 get a bag? At the very least, cranberries are a very safe way to engage with foraging. There's a few plants that I'd say are almost, it's impossible to misidentify them. Cranberries are one of those plants. If you're looking for a moist area, looking for low crawling shrubs with leaves almost like a whorl that grow around the stem. They're not opposite, but they're alternate, going up in a circle around the stem. And you find the red berries with the distinct oval shape. Sometimes they're round too, but more often they're oval. and the tart taste of a cranberry, you find a cranberry. There are some good photos in some of Yule Gibbons' books and good recipes in there for cranberry sauce, but whether you eat them raw or cook them, they're really full of anthocyanins. They're a great antioxidant. They can be used a similar way, as many women know, as uva ursi, as a urinary antiseptic for killing urinary tract infections. And they're just generally a delicious food to add to desserts or anything you're making. Anytime you can incorporate wild food into your diet, it's a great thing, because all of this food is grown, there's plenty for the animals, and the more we engage with our environment and see value in our environment, the better off we're going to be in the future. And the more we can share that with people who are younger than us or our children, the more they're going to value what's around them, rather than just thinking of it as, this is space that could be used for houses or a movie theater or whatever. There's value in all land, and if we can start to see the treasures that are just slightly obscured from our vision because of our cultural training, we have an abundance around us. So I want to encourage you to educate yourself, talk to people like myself and other herbalists and foragers, and also read. There's a lot of great YouTube videos, but I definitely recommend Yule Gibbons' books. Russ Cohen's a forager in Massachusetts as well. There's a lot of really great resources available. Sam Thayer as well is an excellent forager who actually walks his talk. But hope this inspires you to go out and look for some cranberries before they're gone for the season. But they will be back in October. So if you miss it in the coming month, watch this again in October. Hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay well.